The world's most powerful currency is bleeding out. Right now, while you watch this, every second another country quietly dumps dollars from their reserves. Every minute, another trade deal gets signed in yuan, in rubles, in anything but the greenback. You were told the dollar was invincible. They lied to you because the truth would cause panic. Since 1971, when Nixon killed the gold standard, the dollar has survived on one thing only: faith. Faith that America would always be the strongest. Faith that no one would dare challenge it. Faith is running out. China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, India, they're all making moves. Not someday. Today. The question isn't if the dollar loses its throne. The question is what replaces it and whether you'll be prepared when it happens. He who controls the money supply controls the nation. Let me show you exactly what's coming. The 1971 August 15th, 1971. A Sunday evening, Nixon appeared on television and casually destroyed the foundation of global finance. He called it temporary. It's been 53 years. Before that moment, every dollar was backed by gold. Real, physical gold sitting in Fort Knox. Other countries could exchange their dollars for American gold at $35 per ounce. It was a promise, a contract. Nixon broke it because France started demanding their gold back. De Gaulle saw what was happening. America was printing more dollars than it had gold to cover. So Nixon simply changed the rules. No more gold standard. The dollar would be backed by nothing but trust. They called it the Nixon shock for a reason. Overnight, every currency in the world became a floating piece of paper tied to nothing tangible. And here's the part they don't teach you. This allowed the Federal Reserve to print unlimited money. Inflation went from 2% to 12% within years. The middle class started dying that night. Gold to paper to nothing. That's the transformation that made everything possible. But how did the dollar survive without gold? The answer involves oil, war, and a deal most Americans have never heard of. The petrodollar deal. 3 years after killing the gold standard, America made a secret deal that would define the next half-century. 1974. Henry Kissinger flew to Saudi Arabia with an offer the Saudis couldn't refuse: American military protection in exchange for one simple condition. All oil sales worldwide would be priced in US dollars. Every country that wanted oil, which is every industrial country on Earth, would need dollars to buy it. Petrodollar. This was genius. Evil genius, but genius. It created artificial demand for dollars around the globe. Countries had to stockpile American currency just to keep their economies running. The dollar didn't need gold anymore. It had something better: oil, the world's blood. If you're starting to see how deep this goes, hit like and subscribe to keep exposing what they hide, because what comes next connects all the dots. Oil is much too important to be left to the Arabs. For 50 years, this system worked perfectly. Anyone who threatened to sell oil and other currencies faced consequences. Saddam Hussein announced he'd sell Iraqi oil in euros in 2000. 3 years later, Baghdad was burning. Gaddafi proposed a gold-backed African currency for oil. Libya became a failed state. Coincidence? Follow the oil. But now something has changed. The petrodollar's grip is weakening. China's counter. While America was busy fighting wars in the Middle East, China was playing chess. Patient, strategic, ruthless chess. In 2018, China launched the petroyuan, oil futures contracts priced in Chinese currency, convertible to gold. Read that again. Convertible to gold. They're offering what Nixon took away. The very thing America abandoned is now China's weapon. Saudi Arabia, America's most crucial petrodollar ally, started accepting yuan for oil in 2023. The same Saudi Arabia that made the 1974 deal. Russia now sells most of its oil to China in yuan. India pays for Russian oil in rupees and dirhams. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are actively building alternatives to dollar dominance. De-dollarization is real. The numbers don't lie. In 2000, the dollar represented over 70% of global reserves. Today, under 60% and falling. Every percentage point represents billions in reduced demand for American currency. When the tide goes out, you see who's swimming naked. America has been swimming naked for decades, printing trillions backed by nothing but military power. And the tide is starting to turn. But de-dollarization isn't happening in a vacuum. There's a digital threat emerging that could accelerate everything. The digital threat. Central bank digital currencies, CBDC. Every major economy is developing them right now. China's digital yuan is already in circulation. The European Central Bank is testing the digital euro. The Federal Reserve is studying a digital dollar. This isn't about convenience. This is about control. Imagine a currency that's programmable. Money that expires if you don't spend it fast enough. Money that can't be used to buy certain products. Money that the government can freeze with a keystroke. No bank account needed. No privacy possible. Every transaction tracked forever. Cash to digital to total surveillance. The Chinese social credit system could be replicated anywhere with CBDC. Buy too much alcohol, lower credit score. Donate to the wrong cause, account frozen. Travel to a protest, funds seized. The ultimate tool of authoritarian control, disguised as innovation. But here's the geopolitical angle nobody discusses. Whichever country's CBDC becomes the global standard gains unprecedented power over international trade. China is racing to win this. Control the money, control the world. The dollar might not be replaced by another paper currency. It might be replaced by code that watches everything you do. Gold's revenge. While the world debates digital currencies, central banks are quietly doing something that speaks louder than words. They're buying gold, record amounts of gold. In 2022 and 2023, central banks purchased more gold than any time since 1967. China, Russia, India, Turkey, even Poland and Singapore. They are preparing for a world where the dollar is not king. Russia increased its gold reserves by over 2,000 tons in the past decade. China officially holds about 2,000 tons, but analysts believe the real number could be 3 times higher. They're hiding it. Why? Insurance. Gold can't be sanctioned. Gold can't be frozen. Gold can't be printed into oblivion. When America weaponized the dollar by freezing Russian reserves in 2022, every country on Earth got the message. Your dollar holdings are only yours until Washington decides otherwise. Gold is money. Everything else is credit. The irony is devastating. The same metal Nixon abandoned in 1971 is now the hedge against dollar collapse. History repeats itself. Central banks see something coming. The question is whether you'll see it in time. But gold isn't the only physical asset nations are fighting over. Resource wars. The 21st century won't be fought over oil alone. It will be fought over lithium, cobalt, rare earth minerals, and copper. The materials that power electric vehicles, smartphones, solar panels, and weapon systems. Whoever controls these resources controls the future economy. China controls roughly 60% of global rare earth production and 85% of processing. When they restricted exports to Japan in 2010 during a territorial dispute, Japanese industry panicked within weeks. That was a warning shot. The Congo provides 70% of the world's cobalt. Chinese companies own 15 of the 19 largest cobalt mines there. Strategic dominance. America woke up late to this game. The Inflation Reduction Act tries to rebuild domestic supply chains, but we're decades behind. You can't print rare earth minerals like you print dollars. Physical reality doesn't care about monetary policy. This is why currency is changing. The dollar was built for an age of oil and finance. The new economy runs on materials that America doesn't control. The nation that controls magnetism controls the universe. Prescient words from a comic strip. The magnetic materials in every electric motor, every wind turbine, every missile guidance system, China dominates them all. Currency follows power, and power is shifting. Debt spiral. $34 trillion. That's America's national debt. It grows by 1 trillion every 100 days now. The interest payments alone exceed the entire defense budget, rising to explosive to fatal. Every empire that printed its way to prosperity eventually printed its way to collapse. Rome debased its currency until it became worthless. Weimar Germany printed until wheelbarrows of cash couldn't buy bread. Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina. The pattern never changes. Empires don't fall from external enemies, but from internal rot. The Federal Reserve has trapped itself. Raise interest rates too high and the government can't afford its debt payments. Keep rates low and inflation destroys the middle class. No escape from mathematics. Foreign countries see the math. That's why they're diversifying away from treasuries. Japan, China, and Saudi Arabia have all reduced their dollar holdings. Who buys American debt now? The Federal Reserve itself, printing money to buy government bonds. If something cannot go on forever, it will stop. The question isn't if. The question is when, and whether the landing is soft or catastrophic. But there's a scenario even darker than gradual decline. The crash scenario. What happens when confidence breaks? Not gradually, suddenly. It's happened before. In 1997, the Asian financial crisis started when Thailand ran out of dollars to defend its currency. Within months, Indonesia, South Korea, Malaysia, and the Philippines saw their economies devastate. Contagion spreads faster than anyone predicts. Now imagine that scenario for the dollar itself. A geopolitical crisis, a failed treasury auction, a sudden dump of dollar reserves by multiple countries simultaneously. Panic, the dollar drops 20, 30, 40% in weeks. Import prices explode. Gas at $10 a gallon. Food prices doubling. Interest rates spiking to levels not seen since the 1980s. The average American would feel it immediately and brutally. This isn't fear-mongering. This is the scenario central banks and intelligence agencies wargame constantly. The 2008 financial crisis required coordinated global action to prevent total collapse. Next time, will countries cooperate to save the dollar? Or will they protect themselves and let it fall? Every nation for itself. The alliances America counted on are fracturing. The insurance policies are expiring. What comes after depends on decisions being made right now. Possible futures. 3 scenarios. First, the dollar maintains dominance but weakened. America makes deals, shares power, accepts a multipolar financial world. The dollar remains important but not supreme. This requires humility Washington has never shown. Second, a basket replaces the dollar. Not yuan, not euro. A combination of currencies, perhaps including gold and commodities. The IMF's special drawing rights expanded. International trade becomes more complex but more balanced. The new world order will not be built in a day or in a decade. Third, chaos. No orderly transition. Multiple competing systems. Financial fragmentation along geopolitical lines. A Western bloc versus a BRICS bloc versus everyone trying to navigate between them. Fragmentation breeds conflict. Which scenario unfolds depends on choices being made in Beijing, Moscow, Washington, and Riyadh right now. You are witnessing history happen in real time. The petrodollar deal is dying. BRICS is expanding. CBDC are coming. Gold is rising, the pieces are moving. Chess moves on a global board with uncertain outcomes. The only certainty is change. But what can you actually do about it? Your move. You can't control what central banks do. You can't stop geopolitical shifts, but you can stop being completely dependent on a system designed to extract wealth from you. Diversification isn't just investment advice. It's survival strategy. Do not keep all your eggs in the dollar basket. Physical assets matter more when paper promises fail. Skills that produce value matter more than credentials. Community relationships matter more than follower counts. The people who thrived during every currency collapse throughout history had 3 things: tangible assets, useful skills, and trusted networks. Asset, skills, community. Pay attention to what central banks do, not what they say. When they buy gold while telling you not to worry, That tells you everything. The wise prepare while others sleep. The dollar might survive another decade, or the crisis might accelerate tomorrow. Nobody knows the timeline. Everyone knows the trajectory. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Information is your first defense. Understanding what's happening lets you prepare while others remain oblivious. You clicked on this video because you sensed something was wrong. Trust that instinct. The dollar's decline isn't conspiracy theory. It's mathematical reality playing out in slow motion. Every percentage point of global reserves lost. Every trade deal signed in yuan. Every ton of gold bought by central banks. Every trillion added to the debt. Pattern recognition is power. From Nixon's betrayal in 1971 to the petrodollar deal, from China's counter-moves to the CBDC race, from the gold rush to the resource wars, the system that made America the world's financial hegemon is crumbling. There is no means of avoiding the final collapse of a boom brought about by credit expansion. The Austrian economist wrote that in 1949. 75 years later, we're watching his prediction unfold. What replaces the dollar? Maybe the yuan, maybe a basket, maybe digital surveillance currency, maybe chaos, but something will replace it because nothing lasts forever, especially not systems built on debt, war, and the illusion of endless growth. The question is whether you'll be prepared or surprised. If you made it this far, comment petrodollar dead if you finally see the game being played. Every government lies. The question is, what are they lying about? And now you know a little bit more. The truth is out there. You just have to follow the money. Subscribe if you want to keep digging.